Hey guys, how you doing? All right, we'll try and let some people get in here. Hope everybody's doing good. Hey, what's going on, Mom? Gotta give a shout out to Mom. Everybody being safe out there? So, we got some people in here. Got a few questions here from Instagram and Facebook that I'm going to answer here. Alex Wong has asked, who would win, 2002 Kane versus the 2014 Kane, or 2014 Kane versus 2020 Kane? I think that's what he was asking. Let's see. The 2002 Kane would definitely lose to the 2014 Kane and the 2020 Kane. The 2014 Kane and the 2020 Kane, that would be a close one. I'd have to take the 2020 Kane based on the fact that experience. I'd have to take the experience, as everybody, usually does. Very good question. I like that one. Let's see. Sean Walter asked, do I have a favorite all-time match? I do, actually. I was playing, I can't remember exactly the year. I think it was 2000 and maybe 4, I think, somewhere in there. I was playing Cliff, and at that time I hadn't beaten Cliff at all. And so he had beaten me about 4 or 5 times in a row, and all really close, all really close matches. But I was in Chicago. I was in the semifinals. I was down 9-3 in the third game, down 2-0 against Cliff, and I came back and won. I think it was 11-8 tiebreaker or something like that. And of course, that was my first time ever beating Cliff, and that was when Cliff was still, he was still the man. So that would have to be the one that sticks out, other than obviously winning my first U.S. Open. That's obviously a memorable one too, favorite one for me to play. Let's see. This is a good one. Steve, I think it's pronounced Kuchi or Kuche. Who do you think is currently your toughest opponent? I get that a lot, and I think they're all tough, and you all have to take them seriously, and they're all the best players in the world. And I think that once you reach into about the semis, and really nowadays, even in the quarterfinals, there's a lot of it's just a lot of really good players, and the draws are really deep. I like playing somebody that's a little fast paced, has faster pace of play. I like hitting the ball hard, But yeah, all those players are great players, and all of them. Every match I play is really a tough match. Why don't I play international tournaments? Now, this is obviously one that I've gotten over the years, pretty much throughout my whole career. Obviously I used to play international tournaments, and back about 2002, 2003, I decided that I wasn't going to play for Team Canada anymore because I wanted to further my career on the IRT. At the time I was carded, so I think I made about, I think it was like $20,000 in training money as a carded athlete. And I just felt like, not that I didn't need the money, I just felt like I was given an opportunity when I was 16 to have that money, and of course I earned it as well too. But I had an opportunity to allow a younger person, I should say, benefit from that money. And I've always felt like for racquetball, the talent pool isn't as deep as a lot of other sports. So I think there needs to be a definitive pro and amateur, and I've always kind of viewed the international tournaments as amateur tournaments. I know professionals playing them and all that, but I just based on our talent pool and how deep, and I guess the lack of depth, I just think that it's important that we have that separation between international, amateur, and professional. So that's why I don't play. Not to say that I'm not going to play in the future. Obviously, playing for your country is obviously exciting. But right now I'm just at a different point in my career, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. Got a question here, Felipe. So actually, that's a really good question. After I came back from my suspension in 2008, I was a different player, and I did improve a lot. And I think that overall, that was probably the most mental strong I really had to be through that situation. I felt like the world was against me. It was a very tough time for me in my career. There's a lot of politics that were involved in it. But after it was all said and done, and I realized that I wasn't going to be playing racquetball for an extended period of time, decided to sit down and kind of analyze my game and kind of see what I needed to work on and what I needed to come back to be even better than what I was. Obviously, I had a lot of motivation with everything that happened. But more importantly, I took some time off to just get some mental clarity, and I think that was the best thing for me, stepping away a little bit, working on pretty much my body, not really on court stuff, just getting more efficient with my body and getting in better shape, and then once once I was in a better place, I was able to really dedicate myself. And then when I was finally ready to come back, I was a well-oiled machine for sure. I put in a lot of work. I lost like 20, 30 pounds. I was the strongest I ever was. But, look, there's that thing called motivation. And, for the, little story is when I was going through all that, and it was, like I said, it was all said and done. I used to have a workout room. And what I used to do is I used to post all the negative comments of me on my walls in my workout room, from fans, from just other players that happened to write something or whatever it was. So it was obviously going in there, motivation everywhere I look on the wall. So yeah. Let's answer a couple. What is your racket and string preference? Okay, so I play with the ProKennex, the brand new ProKennex KI Tour 175. I string it at 33 pounds. I'd have to say one of the best rackets I think I've ever used in the ProKennex line. I feel like it's added another 5 miles an hour onto my serve. Very solid racket. Haven't broken any by hitting the wall or anything like that. Very durable. So highly recommend obviously that racket. Let's get a couple here. Yeah, what's up, Matt? How you doing? How excited are you for the new gear? Yeah, I saw some pictures. They look awesome. Obviously, the cosmetics on the ProKennex rackets are always awesome. We do a really good job of the presentation of the racket. Not just that, but also the playability of the racket as well too. So anytime we have new equipment come out, I'm obviously always really excited. And well, who doesn't like free equipment and new equipment? Let's see. Have I ever played? Alex says, have you ever played squash doubles? I have. It's a huge court. It's a very interesting game. Squash, little history is, back when I was 14, 15 years old, I actually was thinking about quitting racquetball and playing squash. I played a bunch of guys and none of them can beat me at the club, but overall the love took over, and I just continued to play racquetball, which obviously I'm thankful I did. Thank you. My family is good. Thank you very much. Obviously, this is a challenging time for the world. we kind of all need to come together. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Everybody in my family is good. Hopefully everybody's good in your family as well too. I get a lot of questions about the radar gun. I have a ton of them, and so far I hit one forehand in the last 10 years that's been clocked, and it was 153. I don't know how spot on that is or not, but that's all I got as far as being clocked. Hey Scott, how you doing? No, I did not ever play Lindsey Myers. I played Sherman plenty of times. Sherman was a really interesting player to play. He had the backhand serve. Obviously one of the greatest Canadian racquetball players ever. Ross Harvey, I never got to play. As far as I go back, I played, Hayden Jones, that was one of them back in the day. I kind of came in on the new era, Mike Green, Mike Ceresia, Sherman, Brian Istis. I came in with those guys, and that's when I started playing. Let's see. Thoughts on what Sudsy? Yeah, Sean. Yeah, thoughts on what Sudsy's doing with the quarantine workout with teams? Yeah, it's really cool. Look, obviously, anybody that's been around racquetball obviously knows how charismatic Sudsy is, and he's very, very knowledgeable, very smart, and so let's keep it going thing and all that. Those are all great ideas, and obviously being one of the greatest players as well too, in our sport, it's great to see him out there and coming up with some content for us, and now that we're not able to play. So yeah, no, it's great. Oh, I like this one. Kevin asks, if you and Paola played men's doubles in the U.S. Open in the main draw, do you think you would win? Well, anybody asks me at any point, do I think I'm going to win? And the answer is yes. With that being said, it would be a tough one. However, there was a year where I played with Ben and he was severely hurt and we ended up pulling that one out. So with my confidence, I would say, yeah, we definitely would have a chance. Absolutely. All right, here we go. Let's address it because it's already been on here 3 or 4 times. Outdoor racquetball. Why don't I play? So number one, I get paid for indoor racquetball. I don't get paid to play outdoor racquetball. That would be number one. So, you have to look at it as a business as well, too. I have played outdoor racquetball in the past. I used to play it a lot when I was a junior, and I was on the Alberta junior team. We used to go to BC, Kelowna, and we used to play a lot, so I'm familiar with it. It's not like I've never played it. Maybe we'll see, right? We'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, for how much I get asked, I obviously know it's going to be a big deal when or if I get out there and play. But we'll just have to see. But like I said, it's a business and it's tough. I mean, I don't want to go out there and risk injury, and jeopardize anything that I'm doing indoor as well too. So, I'd like to try all those ones, pickleball, one wall, all that stuff. I'd really like to try it, at some point. Whether I'm going to try and take it seriously or try and make it a career or base or, an add-on to my current career as, playing indoors, I would say no. But you just never know, but to go out there, I see how much fun everybody's having, and it's outside, which I love to be outside. So, we'll see. Only time will tell. I like this. If you could point out one thing that is, Leonard asked this, if you could point out one thing that has enabled you to dominate the sport of racquetball for so long, what would it be? Well, number one, it's hard to even just say one thing because there's not really one thing. But I think that one thing that does get overlooked as far as my dominance is the mental part of my game. very rarely do you see me rattled. Yes, I get pumped up and I argue with, Scott or, something like that. But, for my mental game is very, very much underestimated. And I believe it's because of just overall the winning part and just the things that I do on the court. It's kind of overshadows mentally, understand and make no mistake about it. I have nothing to gain by winning tournaments anymore. I have nothing to gain other than a check right now. Mentally, I got to be prepared all the time. The next person that, next person that beats me, make no mistake about it, their career is going to be defined 100% and solely on that and that alone. It doesn't matter what that person does. At this point, I really have everything to lose and really nothing to gain, mentally it gets exhausting, it does. I'm not going to lie, it gets exhausting. But I love competition. I love competition. I love, the battle. I love also too the camaraderie of on the tour with the guys. I'm, may not be best friends with all those guys, but I have the utmost respect for all those guys and what they do and what it takes for them to, for all of us, for that matter, to be there and play at the level that we play. Shay, if I had to pick a player you admire most in racquetball, who would that be and why? Look, I would have to, I'd have to admire. I really just have to admire Cliff. When I came on tour, he seemed like he was not human, and I know people talk in regards to me like that now, and so I can really kind of relate with people when they say that. Cliff was is an interesting athlete. First of all, he's good at almost everything, hockey, everything. But the drive that he had and the focus he had, and he a lot of times when you talked about Cliff, you used the word warrior. He obviously went about it a different way than me, but I really admired how he could get to that level mentally all the time when we played. It didn't matter whether it was the round of 16s or it was, the finals. It just, and obviously, being able to win 6 titles over a 20-year career is obviously phenomenal as well too. And he's, had to endure matches with other players that are going down as the greatest, including myself, Sudsy, Marty, all those guys. So I admire the fact that he's been able to take care of his body long enough to be able to play generations of racquetball pros, which is really cool to do and to be able to tell those stories as well too. Got to give a shout out to my boy Ramont. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Pablo, what are your plans for your new brand Krowning Moment? Well, as you see, I got the hat on. Right now we're working on some other stuff, but I got some t-shirts and I got some hats. You can email me at kane@kingkanerb.com. So shirts are 30, hats are 25. We're just kind of getting into it, so please bear with us, but it's exciting. I had it going, I had Krowning Moment going back in 2004, 5, 6. I was really excited about it and the direction it was going. I'm even more excited about it coming out with some new stuff, and obviously all the support is appreciated. Let's see. Vegas, and then there's one in the outdoors in Vegas, and I think there's one in Florida too, so maybe I have to come and check those out. Probably wouldn't play, but come and mingle with everybody. Let's see. Jesse, I like this question. It's what is your best memory of Coach Winterton? So back the first year I finished number one back in 2003, I was having a conversation with Winterton in Houston at the Houston Nationals. They had the little meeting area, and I was having a conversation with Winterton about it, and he was telling me how disappointed he was in where the direction of the sport was going, on and on. Make a long story short, he basically was saying that he was going to step away from racquetball at that time, and so I resorted back to, I was in San Luis Potosí, one of my last international events. I lost to Alvaro, and Winterton was coaching the Mexico team. Played an awesome match against Alvaro, lost. He got me on that one. I was upset, obviously. I'm off to the side. Winterton comes up, and I don't know him from anything. I mean, I'm thinking this guy's gonna come in and rub it in on me or something like that I lost, and tell me a bunch of things that just to try to make me feel good and whatever. And he sits down and he basically, we had a pretty long conversation from what I remember. But one of the things that I remember him saying, stay focused and try not to get too down on yourself, because one day you're gonna be one of the greatest players ever to play. And I thought that was really cool, and it's just something that resonated with me for years. And so, this probably maybe 4 or 5 years goes by, and then he's in Houston, and I'm talking to him, and he's talking about, quitting. And so I asked him, hey, so how would you feel about coaching the number one player in the world? And he goes, oh, that would be great. I've never had an opportunity to coach number one in anything. And I said, yeah, and I'm thinking it just requires a yes or no answer. So I said to him, how would you like to coach the number one player in the world? And he said same thing. Oh man, it would just be awesome. I'm like, Winterton. I'm like, all right, you know what, Winterton? Do you want to work together or not? Like, do you just want to work together? You want to do this? And he was like, oh. And, that's kind of how our relationship got started. So, our relationship got started. Racquetball brought us together. But racquetball is just something that we have in common. We, through my suspension, through all of that, he was still my coach, but he was, a person that I knew was going to be there for me on when all of it was done too. Another interesting kind of tidbit about me and Winterton is that we've been working together now for 14 years. And we've only been on the court together working on stuff 4 times in those whole 14 years. Everything we do is just over the phone. We talk and send videos, and other than that, So I think that's a pretty cool story, because I don't think most people in a coach-player relationship can have a successful relationship like that. And that just goes to show the knowledge that both of us have for the game as well, too. Jody, yeah, I really like this question. This is a good question, because when you win, people think that you play great all the time. The question from Jody was, have you ever felt as though your game plateaued? If so, how do you break out of that funk? Now, it's interesting. That's interesting. I don't feel like my game is plateaued. I feel like you can always get better. But what I think is an interesting thought is, when I've played in my matches, and even in this current long streak of winning that I'm having and have had, when you win, people think that you play great. But the interesting part about it is that they don't really realize some of the behind the scene adversities that you have to go through each match, each tournament, whether it's sore muscles or an injury or whatever. You got some personal things going on. So I think a lot of people don't really realize that just because you win, doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that, you played great, right? You can also win playing sloppy as well too. So, being able to win when you're not playing your best is really, a sign of a true champion, in my opinion. All right, Ivan. Yeah, I'll name 3 most challenging opponents you have right now. All right, so Number 1, De La Rosa, young, great player. Got great hands, hits the ball good, obviously moves very well on the court. When he's on, he's rolling balls. Very streaky player, but he'd definitely be in my 3. I really enjoy playing Landa. I really like his game style. Power. Great serve. Moves well. And he's got that fire too. I like that fire that Landa has. And three would be I'd have to go with Conrado. I really like this kid's game. I really do. He hits the ball with some really good pace. He can hit shots at very awkward positions, which I think is very important in racquetball. Same with De La Rosa as well too. That's one of the things that De La Rosa does really well too. Those would be my 3. Brandon, who would I play outdoor? No, I wouldn't play Mike just based on the fact that he's always bugging me about it anyway. So now he's like canceled out. So I'd have to pick someone else. Doug, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can find it on KingKaneRB.com. You can find it there, or you can just message my athlete page, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll take care of you. Oh, Millard, keep the beard. Hey, yeah. It's funny because through this whole quarantine thing, I was gonna see how much of my beard I can. I don't even know if you can call it a beard, but thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying my best. John asks, is there anybody on tour right now that you think will replace you when you retire? I mean, obviously someone is going to replace me. I don't know. I mean, I think if you take me out of the mix, I think that when I haven't been there, history is showing that it's pretty open. There is not one person that's going to stand out. So it's really interesting. The field is really, I mean, it's really deep when it comes to who can be the next number 1. You take me out of there, and you got probably about 6 or 7 guys that have a true push at number 1. So these years, even when I'm dominating, these years of these guys and what they're doing to get better and how they're doing it and taking care of their body and stuff is going to determine who's going to come out of those 6 or 7 guys on top. So yeah, it's an interesting time for racquetball. We have a lot of young players, and this will be I feel like my 2nd or 3rd generation of racquetball players that I'm playing now. So it's even though we look at racquetball as a lot of people look at racquetball as a dying sport or whatever. We are in kind of some exciting times. We have some exciting times in racquetball with the international flavor and obviously the new investors are making we're making great strides with the on the IRT, just trying to get the tour out there, and they're doing a great job. And there's all the players are working together hard, trying to find a way that we that we can make this thing a mainstream sport, and that's really what we want. All us even the players, everybody. We just want where we feel racquetball should be, and we want the respect and the acknowledgement. And so hopefully one day we can be there. Who is your best friend on tour except Ben? Shabir asks. Honestly, I like everybody. When I get to a tournament, it's a job for me. I'm not there to make friends. I know this sounds bad, but I have enough friends. I know that sounds bad, but like, I go to a tournament, I do my job, and then I go home. And that's how I viewed it for a long, long time. And I think that's how you have to view it. It's great to, have fun and mingle and all that, but, is it a business or is it a hobby? And for me, it's a business. And now that I'm 38, it's even more of a business for me. I don't know how many years I'm going to have left. So, I can laugh and joke and hang out with all those guys when I'm all said and done doing what I'm doing. But right now it's a job, and I need to just focus on that. And it's easy to get distracted because all those guys, they're great guys, and I like them all, and I'd hang out with all of them, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, it's just all the kids on tour right now. It's funny I say kids, but all the kids on tour right now are great. Yeah, Don says, how can we get bigger prize money to attract more players to the sport? Here's the thing is that, it's tough because obviously money, right? Money is the bottom line. But the interesting part about it also too is that, racquetball financially took a turn when we came out with sponsor packages. And so what I feel is that what happened is when companies started offering sponsor packages to players, right? You get a contract signed, you get your rackets. Well, then you have to play with them. So what it does is it deters the buyer from buying from online buyer or wholesale buyers, so it's wholesale sellers. So like Racquetball Warehouse, Racket World, Lawler Sports. Before these player programs, people would have to go and go to these online dealers, and they would buy their stuff from there. So some people would have a head racket with ProKennex headband and a glove, and so I think that it was a lot more of an even and healthy market where you have a company going and signing 15,000 people for $500 for it to be sponsored. Well, now those people can't play with any other company's rackets or use any other company, so they're binded to this contract to play with one, where if we didn't have that, my thought is that those people would go to the online dealers and they would start buying, which would then boost the economy of racquetball, in my opinion. So I think that's one of the things that has, really hurt. We just need to, we do a great job of educating the people that already know about racquetball. The question is that how do we educate the people that don't know anything about racquetball? How do we bring those people in? I mean, if you think of how many people play our sport, whether it's tournament players or whether it's just for fun, right? I mean, it's, I think 3 million, 4 million, I don't know, somewhere in there, right? So that's a lot of people. Right, but we could have also another 3, 4, 5 million people that could be possibly playing, but they just don't really know anything about racquetball. So social media, and obviously during this time as well too, is great for us to get out and promote the players, promote the tour, promote kind of educate people on what our vision is. I guess our mission statement, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, and I think everybody needs to understand that. We just, it's we're in a tough position here, obviously, even with the economy. I mean, it right now is just tough all around, but there's something to be said about being positive, and I believe that we can get there, and obviously, I want to be a big part of it as well too. Cassie, what type of shoes are you always wearing? The white and black ones. Yeah, so I use the Air Force 270s. I've used them for about 2 or 3 years. I'm trying to look for new shoes because they don't make those shoes anymore, but I just can't find shoes that I like. So it's the Air Force 270s. They make them in men's and women's as well too. Yeah, Shar asks, what is a good practice versus playtime allocation per week? So it's interesting because the average player, when they go to the club, it's about winning or losing. And I see it at my club all the time as well too. Maybe not against me, so to speak, but when you go to the club, there's always that guy or that girl or whatever that person that you want to beat that you can't beat, and But look, you're practicing, right? And so practice by yourself and playing, right, is obviously two different things. I feel like you get the most benefit from just drilling and practicing by yourself. Now, one word of advice that I would give somebody playing at their club is don't be afraid to play guys that are below you in level, okay? And why I say that is because it benefits both of you guys. First of all, it benefits them because they're playing somebody better in yourself, so it's going to make them better. Two, it's going to allow you, by playing someone that's not as good as you, it's going to allow you to work on things that you normally wouldn't be able to work on, say, in a tournament or playing a guy or a person, I should say, that's your same level. So it actually benefits everything. And, it always bothers me when I hear these stories about these people at clubs not playing with young kids or, not playing somebody because they're better than them or anything. It absolutely is not cool whatsoever, and that's not part of growing our sport. So anybody that's out there doing that, let's please stop that. We need all the players to play. We want to support each other, right? And so I think the key is to spend more time on the court by yourself, and when you play, really play to get your game better. Don't play to win, so to speak. Play to get better. Tony, am I sitting in my indoor court? No, I'm not. I'm not sitting. I wish. I haven't been on the court. I haven't been on the court since Chicago, and I like it. I think it's great. I think it's a nice little break for everybody. Everybody can kind of take a break and slow down a little bit. I think that just the pace of life and the pace in the world was too fast, and hopefully everything will slow down, and it's really become a time where people can kind of sit back and reevaluate a lot of things in their life, and I think that's great. Like I said, the world's so fast and everything's happened so fast. I don't think people really, have ever really had a chance to sit back and do that. So I think that this, taking the opportunity now to do that is great. Sal, was I ever scouted by any teams to play hockey? I was scouted a little bit. I was supposed to have a walk-on tryout with the Edmonton Oilers. This was back when I was about 17 years old. I went to my Canadian Nationals. I was nobody, went to my Canadian Nationals. I won. I never went and tried out, never did anything like that, and I just pursued racquetball, and here I am now. Yeah, Jeff. I have not, I kind of touched on, my whole family is fine, so I appreciate you asking. And yeah, it's been a little transition, of course, having them home all the time, doing their online schooling and stuff like that. So it's been a little bit of a change for everybody. Had some ups and some downs, but it's been good for all of us. Got some quality time with the family, which is always great. They play racquetball a little bit. Again, right? It's tough because I really want the girls, my girls to be interested in racquetball, and but at the same time, to say that you would want to be the number one player in the world for women's racquetball, and you'd want to just hang on that currently right now, it's a tough one. I love racquetball. And I'd love nothing more than to see Kennedy and Kendall play. But obviously, it's ultimately their choice, and I don't want them to ever think that I want them to do it or they are obligated to do it. I just want them to be happy. I'd actually prefer if they didn't even really look at me as, anything in racquetball. I'm dad, and that's the way I'd kind of like to stay. They play some sports. They play basketball and volleyball and a little bit of golf here and there, and they're very good. I don't know about anybody else with young kids, but it's hard to explain how you have to work for something nowadays. It was much easier to explain that back when, I guess maybe when I was a little bit younger, without internet and without all these other things. It's a little tougher to teach kids nowadays, what it's like to work for something, and because everything, the world is really based on convenience now. So it's very hard, very hard. Here's a good one. Millard, why'd you switch to the Pure 1? Well, actually, I used the Pure 1 when I first came to ProKennex. 12, 13 years ago was the first glove I used. And then part of expanding was that I would use the Krowning Moment glove. And that would kind of lead me into my Krowning Moment kind of line and stuff like that. And now I'm not really doing that. There's no more of those Krowning Moment gloves that I like, so I've had to make the transition. Until the last tournament, I was using all my old gloves from 3, 4, 5 years ago. It wasn't even new gloves; they were all old gloves. So I went back, made the switch. I had some time to make the switch, and I made the switch. Which, obviously, anybody who plays with that glove knows and understands how awesome that glove is. As far as durability and playability as well too. You really can't go wrong with a ProKennex glove either. All the ProKennex gloves are really, 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 really good. Shane, do you still plan on retiring by 40, or do you think you will just keep going? Yeah, I try not to think about it. That is one of those things that, it can go, anything can happen. I can get injured. I can, it's just, at my age, it's just one little thing and my career could be over, So, I always thought early on in my career that it would be really cool to be the #1 player in the world when I'm 40. As things look right now, it looks pretty promising for me, but again, you don't know, and I take it one day at a time, one match at a time. I've set the bar really high for myself, and the day that I stop having fun will be the day that I know that I need to walk away from the game. It's really not about winning or losing so much. A little history is, back when I was younger, I used racquetball. I used the racquetball court as my sanctuary. I had, when I was younger, I had some kind of family issues and some stuff going on, and I was always able to go into the racquetball court, and that was my 20 by 40 sanctuary where nothing else in the world mattered. So I always used it as fun, and so the day that's why I say the day that I stop having fun is really the day that I think that it's time for me to walk away. And not only that, but I have to be able to compete for the #1 spot. I'm not here to be 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm here to be #1, and so I'll do it as long as I can. Matt says, do you think it's important for young players to have a good coach or a coach in general? First of all, what exactly is a good coach? That's #1. I think that for years, having a coach was kind of one of those things where nobody really did it. You obviously see it a lot more now, and it's in every sport, obviously. I think that it's important that if it's young players, I think that you get somebody that can understand you as a person, and you as a person on and off the court, and they can compliment you. That's one of the things that Winterton does great. Is that he really compliments me Being a great coach just isn't about on, the in-sport things. It's about, I've had some personal issues that, Winterton has been there for me. And, so a great coach goes more than just coaching, I believe. And that's kind of where, me and, Winterton really, really excel at. We have this respect for each other. We have this understanding. Yeah, we still get, we still butt heads every once in a while, but, overall we got nothing but love and respect, and he's a great guy and a great coach. But, I think it's, getting back to your question, I think it's important for a young player to have somebody, whether it's a coach or just whatever it is, a mentor, coach, whatever it is. I think that it's really important. Paul, I like this question. What was a harder time, Suds, Jason, Cliff, or Rock, Alvaro, Jack era? Okay, so I love to touch up on this because there's a lot of talk about how these talks of like how would Kane do against Cliff in their prime, and on and on and on, it's interesting, but every person that you listed right there, Paul, including me, obviously, we've all played each other. Now, you could argue that Cliff and those guys never played me at my prime, but look, those guys beat me numerous times, and I beat them numerous times. So this talk of who would have beat who, I think it's pretty even, to be honest, right? Obviously, I would like to believe that I would win the majority of the times, but the truth is that Sudsy beat me, I beat Sudsy, Jason beat me, I beat Jason, Cliff beat me, and these guys, and at the time, Cliff and Suds and Jay, they were all really technically in their prime. So I lost against those guys in their prime, and I also won against those in those prime. The question would really be, have I ever really competed with those guys and in their prime? But there were both hard times. I mean, it's hard to answer because I feel like those are two different parts of my career. Those are like the beginning parts of my career where I was young and, my game wasn't as tight as what it is now, and I wasn't as efficient. And so now, is obviously the efficiency's there. And, but I would have to say Suds, Jason, and Cliff based on the fact of where I was in my career and how young I was, and the fact that my game hadn't evolved to what it is now at the time. Hey, what's up, Charlie? How you doing, buddy? Hope all is good. Yeah, how did hockey play a role in my racquetball game? Actually, it was very influential. When I look back on it, obviously, balance, obviously being on skates, but also, at a very young age, being able to move laterally on skates, and, the discipline part of it, the responsibility part of it, getting to practices, practicing hard, discipline, and, if I didn't like somebody, I could go out on the ice and fight them, and, it just taught me more than just what it was about being an athlete as well, too. It also taught me and got me ready for, just everyday life, too. But, yeah, I mean, we were, when I was younger, we were out there. I had hockey practice 3 times a week, plus I was playing hockey with my friends, at the outdoor rinks and stuff like that. And so, obviously, a lot of early muscle development, allowing me to be more superior on the court at a younger age. Especially, I think one of the things that it did is it allowed me to move laterally. I got a lot of, I'm very sturdy and balanced and laterally, and I think that has a lot to do with hockey. Yeah, Sean, can you share why you retired a few years back but came back to the game? So, it was a very interesting time. I was part owner and also a player of the IRT. I invested in the IRT back then, and there was a transition of new ownership, and there were some things that were done, and I'm not really going to get into it because it's kind of over now. I just felt like it wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to. I didn't feel at the time like I was being treated fairly, and so I made the decision that I was going to step away from the game, and I had that summer to think about things, and you know, came back, and that's about it. All right, so we have a little lull here. Here's what I want to do. I have an announcement to make. This is kind of really exciting for me. I recently started a partnership with a company called On the Green. On the Green is a CBD company, and it's actually been a game changer for me in my everyday life and also in my career as well too. They have great products, great people. Nick and Neil are great. Lamar's great. I'm really excited about this opportunity with them. They got some really good things. Doing some research, the CBD market is it's very diluted, and so it's very hard to try to kind of really know at first what was really legit and what really wasn't. And I finally found On the Green, and their product is amazing. Some of the products that I use, first of all, you need to go onthegreen.com, check them out. It's awesome. The products that I use, they have great products. They have a wide range of products. I use the roll-on, which is really good, obviously, for us racquetball guys and us older guys. Obviously, the Icy Hot, the roll-on, that's great. I like the gummies as well too. I've just kind of started dabbling into the liquid. So they have a one called Sleep. My girlfriend Allie uses that one. She really likes that one. I'm kind of getting more into trying their product, but go check them out. If you do check them out and you want to buy something, the code discount code KingKane10, you get 10% off. I thank you for the support. Great company. I swear that it is a awesome. First of all, it's an awesome company, great people, like I said. But the product itself speaks for itself, and it's just a great product, and I'm really excited about it, and to be a part of the team for sure. Mike, what pros did you look up to growing up? Obviously Cliff. Cliff was a big one. Cliff was a really big influence on my game, obviously being left-handed. Was a huge advantage for me. So Cliff was a big one. Suds, all those guys. I mean, mostly Cliff. I would see magazines when we had the Racquetball magazine. I'd read that, and it'd be about Cliff and all that. And obviously, look, in every sport, I think that when you're growing up, I think that people tend to gravitate to the best, and or the number one. And I think that that's just normal. I mean, even in hockey, in hockey, I loved Wayne Gretzky. Well, Wayne Gretzky was the greatest racquetball player. Michael Jordan, same thing. You could argue that other players are great as well too, but I think that overall, there's something about them. There's something about them that's just different, that you just gravitate towards them, based on success mostly, I guess, and how they play and whatever. So Cliff was definitely one. Yeah, so I do have also another little piece of news that I'd like to share also as well. So for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been working on a documentary. I don't know, people who went to the U.S. Open probably saw some stuff going on with me at the U.S. Open. Timothy Blackwood is my main man who's doing it. Became really good friends with him. And really like what he stands for, and I'm really excited about this project. It's going to take some time, but really excited to get my story out there, not just about racquetball, but but about just how, how Kane Waselenchuk came to be, King Kane, I guess. So look out for that. That'll be, he'll be, if you're at tournaments, you'll probably see some stuff going on. It's really cool. So I'm really, really excited for that as well, too. Ken, if Ben Croft died tomorrow, who would be your doubles partner? So, well, as a matter of fact, I haven't heard from Ben for a little while, so I don't know. Hopefully he's not, but call me, Ben. Return a call, do whatever, Who would be my doubles partner? That's a tough one. I think I would play with Landa. I like Landa's. I like De La Rosa too, but obviously, I mean, he'd be a nice ProKennex. It'd be nice. I mean, obviously he's with Alvy, but obviously it'd be great. ProKennex. But yeah, I like Landa. I like Landa's game. I like his fire. I feel like it's kind of like he's kind of similar to Ben. Maybe not as intense. Maybe not. No, he's pretty intense, but Ben kind of verbalizes and shows it a little bit more. Yeah, I'd probably pick Landa. Todd, how many push-ups can you do? I don't know. I have no idea. 10. Maybe I'll come out with a push-up challenge. Maybe we'll do that. We'll come out with a push-up challenge since I have no idea. Yeah, so Joe, best memory playing with your father. Yeah, so one of the cool memories that I had with playing with my dad. We used to play at a place called the Omega Club, and my dad used to always have to chase me off the court. So my dad would play with his friends, and he would go off of the court, and they'd get their water or whatever, and I'd run on the court, and I'd start playing. And they'd want me to get off the court, and I'd have 2 or 3 of them chasing me around the court, trying to get me off the court because I'd never ever wanted to leave the court. So, I thought, it's kind of a really funny, so they probably spent equal time chasing me around the court as they did actually playing too. So it's kind of funny. Trying to find some more questions here. I have a few more written down here. Let's answer these while we have a couple of them coming through here. We already answered the what's the shoes. Let's see. It says, Brian, thank you for doing this. Everyone says and here's footwork is key. What does footwork mean? So, and drills. So drills, star drill. Is a really good drill. That's probably the most popular drill. What does footwork mean? To me, footwork means, I think of footwork and I think of efficiency, and I think of setting up to the ball. Obviously there's getting to the ball, there's footwork getting to the ball, but then there's also footwork getting to the ball. There's footwork getting to the ball, but then there's also footwork when you get to the ball. So obviously they're both important, but I would have to say that footwork when you're at the ball is much more important than footwork getting to the ball. They're equally important as well too. As well you could say, but there's a lot of great drills out there. I'll let you guys all go check out Winterton, Coach Winterton, Jim Winterton. If you don't know who Winterton is, he's got a lot of great drills. That you can use. Francisco, you want me to play until I'm 80 years old? I don't even know if I want to. Donald, what can you do? What's up, buddy? How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. What can you do to improve my backhand? You come visit me. Just visiting me will improve your backhand. You are such a gentleman on the racquetball court. Are you just as polite when you play hockey? The answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. I was never. But then I was a little younger and I had more energy and more fire though too. now I gotta preserve some of that energy. Let's see, I'm scrolling through here trying to find some. If racquetball ever became an Olympic sport, one, if you are retired, would you come out of retirement and play? Two, would you play for Canada or the US? So, Joe, thank you for that question. Yes, I would come out of retirement for that. That would be probably a once in a lifetime thing, and I would have to say, no matter what my age was, I would come out and I would play. I would obviously play for. I would also play for Team Canada. I'd have to play for Team Canada. I'm Canadian. I'm always going to be Canadian. I came to the U.S. when I was 18 years old, and America's been great for me. And obviously, my daughters are American. Obviously, they're Canadian too as well. But this country has been awesome to me. I gotta play. I gotta stick with my roots here, and I gotta play. Gotta go with Canada. Yeah, I think that Randy says, how much do you weigh for the U.S. Open, and how big of a role does body weight play in professional racquetball? Obviously, the more muscle weighs more than fat. Obviously, just being really strength. You can be, look at football example. You can be 260 pounds, and you can, now these guys are running a 4.5 or whatever, 4.7, 40-yard dash, right? And these guys are 250, 6'6". So, body weight will play a little bit of a role. But it's really about your power, about your strength, what you're doing to take care of your body and stuff like that. And usually when I'm at the US Open, me personally, I usually weigh anywhere between 185 and 195. I found like that's kind of like a nice little weight for me. I feel good. I've been heavier in times in my career, and I've been lighter at times in my career, and right in there has been kind of the sweet spot for me. Trying to see the rest of this question. This is really good. Trevor, my wife and I have some great sponsors in other sports. We went out and got most of them. Are you someone going out and getting them? I don't think you can just wait for them. This goes, yeah. I am going out there and trying to get them. The really interesting part is I go back to the educational part. Most people aren't really educated about racquetball, so it's hard to talk about sponsorship. And then on top of it, when you talk about sponsorship, you talk about return. Now 10-15 years ago, it was much easier to get a sponsorship because the expectation of return was a lot different. Now sponsorships are different in the way of the expectation is what am I getting in return here. When you go out, it's really a slippery slope, right? Like, you go and you approach a company and you talk about what you can provide, and really it's about the return. And so really, it's kind of like a vicious circle, right? Because we need to get the sport out there, knowing more popularity. Again, I use the word educated, right? We need to educate all the people that are uneducated about the sport. I think it's interesting because there are times where, someone will be talking, about what I do, and they say, hey, this guy right here is the #1 player in the world in racquetball, and someone just goes, oh, that's cool. That just, I don't take offense to it. I just think that that's them being uneducated. They don't really understand because, they don't they don't know that there's professional racquetball. I get that a lot too. You know, what do you do for a living? I play professional racquetball. I didn't even know there was professional racquetball. You know, so you know, again, I use the word, keep using it, educated. We need to educate the uneducated, and once we do that, the opportunity for sponsorship, I believe, will be greater for not just me, but also be greater for all the other players as well too. But yes, I do go out and I am trying, and you know, I just it's a hard business, and you know, again, you know, we're all working to try and change that. I know I'm working to change it for you know, the future generations of players. So. Chad asks, hope this isn't for several years, but do you have career plans after you retire from the tour? What do you want to do? I'd be lying if I said I never thought about it. I haven't started thinking about it. I'm really enjoying coaching. I want to get on some video coaching. I think that's really intriguing. You know, I don't think I'll ever be out of racquetball. I think that I've done too much personally for myself, and I believe also for the game, for me to not be involved and just walk away. I think that I would love to be a part of the IRT. I think that I would like to do something for the IRT. I think with my knowledge and you know, all the different generations I've played in, and you know, all the different commissioners, and I was part of the IRT when, you know, it was prosperous and it was great and everything was awesome, and I've been part of the IRT when things really weren't looking all that well either. So yeah, I'd like to be a part of racquetball, but then also at the same time, you know, I think that honestly it's going to really depend on what my daughters end up doing. I think that before I feel like I can choose my next path, I just kind of feel like there needs to be more of a direction of kind of where my girls are going, and then I can kind of make that decision for myself after that. Yeah, Damien, okay, let's talk about this. If people bought from a wholesaler like Racquetball Warehouse or Racket World, there would be no guarantee that the surplus profit will go towards the sport. Here in Europe, we buy Head Radical 160 for $100. U.S. wholesales charge $230. If they lowered their prices, they might have more business. No offense. No offense taken. But I don't think what you also understand is what they're buying it at the wholesale price. And to make another point for you is that how do you know it's not going towards the sport? So, you know, there's two things here. Like, number one, okay, we're not in a business right now where we should be, in my opinion, buying straight from dealers. I think we need to the wholesalers. The wholesalers buy at a wholesale price. So those prices, in my opinion, have not changed in years. Okay, so let's make no mistake about it. Okay, so a top of the line racket. Okay, top of the line racket is purchased for $250. Okay, it's not sold to them for $200. The racket is sold to them for probably about $100. Okay, then on top of it, you talk about what the racket is made, what the racket is going to be made for. The racket is probably made for anywhere between $25 to $45 maybe dollars. Okay, so really, it's not really, the wholesalers can bring down their price, yes, right? But they're also making a profit too. So you have to understand that the wholesalers are charging $230, but they bought the racket for X $100, right? So, but what happens is with people being able to buy from other companies directly, right? The wholesaler now has to raise their prices because their orders for the wholesale aren't as much. Let's use Racquetball Warehouse. Racquetball Warehouse isn't going to buy 900 rackets. They're not going to do that. They're going to buy less. So there's this vicious cycle that goes on when you talk about wholesalers and selling to wholesalers and being able to buy directly from the company. I think that it slows the progress demographically of racquetball, and that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that in my opinion, being able to buy straight from the dealer, straight from the company in right now, given our demographic, I think that it would be much more beneficial for us to deter that and bring that business to wholesalers, so wholesalers then can raise their order prices, right? It's their orders, right? So instead of ordering 200 rackets, they're ordering 600 rackets or whatever. That's just my opinion. Yeah, Oscar, I was at the Belmont Club years ago for the doubles tournament. Great place. I had a lot of fun there. Ben and I didn't win the tournament, unfortunately, but great place. Hey Ryan, it says live right up in the corner, right? So you want me to tip at my hat? There you go. Let's see. If you could make, Butch says, if you could make one rule change for the pro game, what would it be? I would go back to one serve. That's what I would do. I think that we changed this rule to go to two serves because basically no one was drive serving and they felt like it would speed the game up. If anything, I think it did the opposite. I think it slowed the game up a little bit, but it also allowed the people who didn't go and work on their serves or had a good drive serve, it allowed them, an extra, an extra little bit, to hold on. It would just, an extra serve. So I feel like as professionals, our game, I felt like, was the most exciting when we had one serve. And I believe that we're professionals, so we're supposed to be put in a position to do things that the average player can't do. So I was the only person when that vote was when that came to voting, I was the only person I believe that voted for staying one serve. So I would go back to the one serve. Tyler, my golf game, I don't play golf really anymore. It's too much time. Obviously, it's expensive, but I would like to start getting out there a little more. I had a lot of fun when I was playing golf. I used to be pretty good until I had kids. But yeah, love golf. It's a great pace, great change of pace from racquetball. You can be outside. But yeah, I definitely miss playing. Don, you have become the people's champ. Watching you winning, but most proud of all you're doing for the fans like this. Goat. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Look, I really enjoy doing this stuff. I really enjoy talking to you guys. You guys all have great questions. I think that this stuff needs to be done more often, really. And I think that it's almost like a brainstorming session. You get these questions. You start talking about the growth of racquetball. The difference in players and the different game styles and all that kind of stuff. I think it's great. And I think that, it brings our racquetball community always, brings us together, which is always great as well. Yeah, Alfredo. So I just mentioned it. Yeah, I have been working for about 2 or 3 years now on a documentary of my life and career, and it's kind of midway through. We need some more content. Need to go back to Canada, get some stuff on film, and so we still got a little ways to go. But But yeah, really exciting, really exciting. I think obviously it's exciting for myself and my family, but it's also exciting for racquetball. It's an opportunity for racquetball to get out there, get people more educated about racquetball, and maybe we'll be taken a little bit more seriously. Steve, can I play right-handed? I can play right-handed. I'm probably about a B level right-handed. I haven't played right-handed, so if I did practice, who knows? Yeah, so Felipe, right now I'm not doing anything online. I'm working on it. So to be a whole 100% transparent with you, this online coaching thing is really new to me. I kind of don't really want to just get myself out there and put myself out there. Obviously, if people are going to pay for a product, I want them to be getting the best bang for their buck. So right now I'm just kind of, tweaking things, making sure that I know how to do it right. And the last thing that I want is to put myself in a position where people wouldn't be happy about or feel like it was worth it for them to do any online stuff. So I'm working on that, and that's going to be in the near future here, and I'm excited and looking forward to that too. So stay tuned. Yeah, Zane, I touched on this a little earlier about the question was, can you explain to others how difficult it is to keep focus you have for the game and on the court to come out and continuously dominate like you do? Please make the comment. You make it look easy. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's far from easy. But again, it's hard. It's hard. I got nothing to lose. I mentioned that earlier. If anything, I got everything to lose. Again, the next person to beat me, it's going to be a big deal if it's not a guy like Rocky or Alvaro. We'll just have to see. I mean, I can't take a break at all at any tournament. I got to be ready all the time. Got to be focused and mentally ready. Oh, hey. There's my dude right there. I love you too, man. I love you too, Ben. Finally. So I just got to hold live. I'll just go on live, and then that way we can talk this way since you don't return calls. Man, I'm getting hurt a little bit. Hope you're good, man. Hope you and the family are good, man. Miss battling with you on the court, buddy. Luciana says, what would you say is the perfect mindset when entering the court for the match? So this is an interesting one, I'm really glad that you asked this question. This probably goes against anything that any coach would ever, probably say or recommend. But when I enter the court for a match or when I'm on my way to the club, the first thing I tell myself is that I'm going to lose. I'm sure all you guys are thinking to yourself, what? Like, what do you mean? And this is what I found that what makes me ready to play is the fear of loss, right? Not the excitement of winning. That's not what makes me get ready. I always look at it as, my opponent's gonna play the best match of his life, and I visualize in a battle, and I visualize my player playing the best that he's ever played, and I visualize things going against me, and I visualize all this stuff, and a lot of it is in a negative manner, but trying to use it as a positive. Kind of, I guess, like a reverse psychology thing. it's just worked for me. That doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, but that's just something that you know, I've always thought of. And then you know, and then of course, you know, once I get in there, yeah, I kind of think to myself, you know, you're in my world now, and you know, I'm in this world. There is nobody better than me, and you know, that's kind of, you know, where my mentality lies when I go into the court. Jose, is shot selection solely based on the opponent's location in the court, or your comfort with any particular shot? Maybe a little bit of both. I think that also to opponent's location, but also I think that you also have to take into consider the opponent's tendencies. Everybody has tendencies, and so when you reach a certain point in a certain match, usually you go back to you resort back to your tendencies, something that your comfort, you want to be in your comfort zone. When things are important, I feel like it's just natural for you to resort back to the things that you're comfortable with. So reading that kind of helps with, you know, shot selection, or, you know, reading your opponent, where they're going, anticipating, all that kind of stuff. Richie, do I still use Onnit products? No, I do not. I don't use Onnit products anymore. Great company though. They're a great company. I love what they stand for. They've been great to me. But you know, at this point in my life, it just seemed like you know, where I was going is, you know, I just you know, we just decided to. We didn't really even break off any relationship. It just, you know, life got in the way, and I started working out at Lifetime, and I wasn't really hitting the ball at Onnit anymore, and you know, just kind of mutually. But they're a great company. I still every once in a while I still use some Onnit products, not for anything it has to do with racquetball, but I still use a couple of the Onnit products just in everyday life. Hey, what's up, Suds? Hey, man, thanks for tuning in. I did just say us old guys. I know. But that's okay. Hey, I'm still going to try and delay the inevitable, though, right? It'll all be over, but I'm just going to delay the inevitable. But, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I'm one of the old guys now. Ken, at your clinic in 2008, you told me putting in Kente hours of training is mandatory. Would you still estimate you have to do that? Probably. Look, I think that I don't really think that it's about time, right? So you make these, you hear these analogies that it's about, you know, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Well, as you get older, the whole quality thing really comes into play, I think, a lot more. You know, I can't. Not that I can't, but it's not in the best interest of my body to be in there for 10 hours or a day or whatever now. So I got to be a lot more efficient, right? We got to use the word efficient. I got to be efficient with my training. I got to be efficient with my recovery. I got to be efficient with everything based on my age. So at one time it was really about, you know, the quantity, and it was just about being on the court, and you know, the quality part of it was important, but it was kind of less important. And now the quality part of it is much, much more important than the quantity. John, are you able to drill at all during this time, or focusing on other things? Yeah, no, I'm really focusing on other things. You know, I like these, even though we were forced into this break, I kind of like these kind of breaks, because it gives me a chance to mentally reset, physically reset. Believe it or not, I like to walk away from racquetball every once in a while, and I walk away until I start missing it, and then I come back and play. That's when I know I'm ready to come back. As far as currently right now, I miss going to the tournaments. Honestly, I don't know. I don't really know if I can say that I miss competing right now at this point. I think that there's more pressing things in this world that are going on that it's really hard to kind of feel like that right now. But I'm still working out. I still am on a pretty set training regimen. Obviously, it's a little different with my kids not being in school, obviously, and it's been a little bit hard. I'm kind of a routine person, so once I'm in a routine, it's good. And but if that routine is broken, it takes me a little bit to get back into that routine. So it's been an adjustment for everybody, but I'm not really missing racquetball currently right now. I'm kind of enjoying my time with my family right now, and I'll be ready when it's time to get going again, and everything gets back to somewhat normal. I'll definitely be ready. Yeah, Ken, on the green makes me think of golf or organics or healthy. Yeah, so on the green actually was really kind of started through golf. One of the owners played on the PGA for a couple of years, and I believe how he got into CBD was he actually had, I think, scoliosis, and started using these CBD products, got a little bit more involved, and kind of that's how it started. So he kind of had the in for the golf, and so they kind of used that market, and now they want to get in racket sports, and I'm really fortunate and really blessed and thankful that they wanted to get into racket sports, and I was the first one that they reached out to, which was really, really cool. I'm really excited. And look, I said it earlier, the product is great for everyday life, and also too for my professional career. It's great. So it's all around. It's really good. Great products. Just a great company altogether. Kevin, do you still watch film on your opponents? How do you break down film on your opponents? Yeah, I used to watch a lot of film back in the day. I don't really watch too much video now of my opponent, so to speak. I watch video, but I actually watch really more what I'm doing, to be honest, really more so than what they're doing. I think that I'm in a very fortunate position where I don't really believe that my opponent dictates really anything. I feel like I'm the one that dictates a lot of the match. So if I can find things or holes or whatever you want to call it that can I can be more efficient at and be better at, then I'd rather focus on that than focus on somebody else. I don't know what those guys are doing outside of the court or whatever, but I watch my movements, I watch my technique, I watch my shot selection, and I take into consideration who I'm playing for sure at the time of when I'm watching the video. I watch myself mostly. Oh, so you know what? So let me take this time right now. I'm going to announce the winner of the Instagram contest. So the winner is Cassie LM88. So congratulations. Enjoy your racket. Enjoy your racket. Yeah, Suds, you know what it's like playing with Landa. He's got that fire, kind of similar to Ben in that regard. Asked who else play doubles with, for sure. There he is, Mr. Mike Peters. I knew it was only a matter of time before you'd come in here and hint about an outdoor partner. But I had to say, I don't know if you'd be the first one I'd pick. I got a couple I think I'd pick before you. Sorry. Angel, how are you staying busy during this lockdown? Yeah, look, it's hard. I mean, I was just telling Ali that I feel like I'm actually more busy than I was when all this stuff wasn't going on. But it's been able to get some stuff done that normally we wouldn't be able to get done. Spring cleaning is number one. It actually was interesting because through all this I was actually moving. So, getting movers and all this kind of stuff was really interesting. But yeah, it's like, I feel like I'm going back to when I was a young kid. You kind of got to find things to stay busy. You got to find ways to amuse yourself, and maybe to be a good lesson for all the kids, even though we have all this social media and all that kind of stuff. But just try to stay as busy as possible, and just try and get the things done that you normally probably wouldn't get done, and obviously take the time with your family. I think that's number one, right? It's just we have an opportunity to spend more time with our family, and I think that's important because the world is so fast paced and everybody's working and trying to make a dollar and whatever, and one thing that I can say through all this is, it's just, it was really sad to see a lot of the things, going on social media. You would like to think that when something like this happens, you'd like to think that it brings the best out of everybody, but it's actually, it sure seems like, it sure brings out the worst in people, and, it's really unfortunate. I think that now that there's more knowledge and there's less chaos and there's more knowledge about what's going on and how we can beat it and everything, I think that the best out of people are starting to come out. But I think that at the beginning, I think there was just this sheer panic, and people were just erratic, just acting erratic. It's just really unfortunate to see. And of course, you got social media, and you never know what to believe on the internet nowadays. You can go on 4 different social medias and read about the same thing and get 4 different answers. So you need to be careful, your outlet and who you're getting your information from. But look, it's not a matter of if this will be over, it's a matter of when. And I don't know about everybody else, but I want to come out of this better, and everybody should, want to come out of this better as well too. Jimmy, are you teaching your kids to play racquetball? Not really. They'll play at the club when I go to the club, but other than that, I kind of let it, let them choose whether or not they want to do it or not. Yeah, Will. So you can go on KaneRB.com. The athlete pages on Kane Waselenchuk athlete pages on Facebook or Instagram. Send me a message. And we'll get you all squared away as far as clothing products and all that kind of stuff. All right, let's take a couple more questions, and then we'll be done, and I'll be back on in 2 weeks. We got a little 2-part series, so we got a lot of information here, a lot of stuff talked about, which is really great. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. Let's go. What's up, Greg? How you doing? I'm doing really good. Hope you and your family are doing really good as well too. Can I tell everyone my blood type? Yeah. It's my blood type's G for goat. Sean, do you always have a spare glove in your pocket on the court? So I started doing this. Just recently because, like I said earlier, I have gloves from 4, 5, 6 years ago, and they're just, the grip on them, they start sweating and immediately the grip goes. So, I decided that I'd put a glove in my pocket. I didn't even know if there was any rule about it or not. I just did it. So, you know, if anyone starts doing it, you know that I was the first one to do it. So, Jeff, why isn't racquetball Olympic sport? I believe it's not an Olympic sport based on money. You know, these Olympic committees, you know, if you look at a lot of the sports, it's all about the dollar, what the money that the sport can bring in. And, you know, unfortunately, if squash isn't in the Olympics, I would gonna have to say that I bet my money that racquetball isn't going to be in the Olympics. But I think really it really boils down to politics and just money. Yeah, so Ryan says, where do you see the future of racquetball grassroots? Would it be more juniors or college? I see a lot of issue with juniors not being able to get in courts, LA Fitness. Yeah, so you know, I think that, you know, the future of racquetball is always going to run through the professional tours. I think that if you look at every sport, every successful sport, it always is run through the professional ranks, right? So, you know, NHL, all that kind of stuff, right? So first of all, we need to add popularity to the professional side of the sport, getting kids interested in idolizing it, you know, our athletes. You know, that'll keep them interested in playing. Obviously, a big part of it would be the demographic of it. You know, the demographic of it does have to change. We have to be able to tell people that they can make a living at it. They have to be able to tell people that, hey, you know, doing this as a job and you know, through your younger years and building up into this career and being a racquetball player, obviously the money value has to be there. You know, you make a great point as far as Lifetime, LA Fitnesses, they don't allow young kids on the courts, and it's kind of obviously that's a huge hill that we have to climb, and it's really, really tough. You know, look, bottom line is that if you want to look at how to grow racquetball, let's look at South America and let's look at Mexico. Look what they've done with their junior programs, and you know, look, you know, when I came on the tour, and you know, the tour has always been called the IRT. But when I came on the tour, it was myself and I think Alvaro and Javier Moreno, I think, were the only 3 international players. Other than that, 1 to 16 were all American. Now you fast forward 15 years or 20 years later, and now, you know, the majority of them are from South America, Mexico. I mean, you know, and that just goes to show the junior programs, right? So not that I like to admit this, but, you know, a lot of kids that, you know, back when, 10 years, 20 years ago, you know, those kids were 10 years old, and now here they are playing the tour. Well, that has to do, you know, with their junior programs and the accessibility for the kids to use the courts as well too. So it's important, but we're kind of stuck when we have, you know, corporate, we have this corporate mentality that, you know, just, you know, who cares kind of thing, and we're not going to allow the kids to play. And you know, I remember, I don't know about everybody else's clubs, but leagues and stuff like that. But really, look, you know, you gotta look at Mexico. You gotta look at that international, you know, juniors, how they've just grown them. Mexico, South America. All right, we got time for one more. Let's make it a good one here. Let's see. I'm scrolling through here. Let's see who's got a good question for me here. Come on, somebody come with a good question to end it. That was the last question I answered was actually a really good question too. It's a good one. All right, well, a lot of these questions are repeating, so, look, guys, I'm going to conclude it today. I'll be on in 2 weeks, so please tune in. We'll have some more conversation. Get your questions. We'll do another thing. Send me some questions, Instagram, Facebook, and we can talk about some more stuff. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. I really appreciate it. Look, hopefully everybody is safe. Be safe. Respect the lockdown. Spend some time with your family. Be well, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, also too, again, On the Green. Go check out onthegreen.com. A new partnership with the CBD company. Great product, great people. Aktion Coffee. Please use the discount code Kane. You get 10% off the first item, 20% off 2 items, and free shipping over $20. So please go support those companies that support me. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.